What is good, beautiful soul? It's Mindset Monday. It's Mindset Monday. It's the time of day that we get our mindset right. All right, so let's get into it. We're going to be talking about balancing your brain and the divine masculine and feminine aspects of this. So I'm very, very excited. I think this is going to be a very good video. We're gonna really get that mindset right for this week, and let's just get it. So your girl Esther Joy just wants to start off by saying, yes, there are flowers in her hair. She's feeling her divine feminine energy right now, very strong, and it's lovely. So let's talk about it a little bit. First off, as I was sitting here thinking, what am I gonna do a video about? Bam, there you go. It happened. What is it that happened, you may ask? Well, I realized that there is this beautiful thing called the brain. And this is where all the communication happens, kind of with the rest. When I think about the brain, I think about that's where the mind and the communication between the relationships of things. It's very much like a communication idea based. It's where a lot of telepathic you just get, I don't know it all. Okay, but like electricity is going on in here, lots of brain power, brain fuel, and then it creates these connections that help govern our physical, beings. So, anyways, the brain. We have the right and the left side of the brain. Now, what I found interesting when I was meditating right before I pressed record is that the feminine and the masculine you have the right and the left sides of the brain. Now, interestingly enough, I believe the feminine is the right side of the brain, which controls the left side of the body. And this is really interesting. The left side is typically the non-dominant side. When we think about our right and left hands, if you're, it's not anorexic. What's the word? Like righty, lefty, both feet. I don't know. Anyways, moving on. So you have the right and the left sides of the brain. And now these two sides, the right govern this more free-flowing, flexible. I really don't remember, and I should, on me for not really, I'm not even going to try to name the brain parts, okay? But Esther, planting the seed that you will go and you will study the brain and the different aspects and the names. Hippocampus, we're going to just focus really quickly on just the right is known to be the more creative side, where the left is more structured. Okay, great, good. The left controls the right side of the body, and, therefore you have this more like analytical, more logical aspect of how do we do things. The right is more creativity, imagination. What if we do this? So these two, they work together and they, create our experience. Now, we're talking about balancing in general, balancing our mind. What does that actually mean? Well, shout out Monk was talking a little bit about the masculine, wanting to balance the divine masculine. And I really wanted to think, what does that actually mean, as humans? How do we take, and I'm just how I'm interpreting it, the divine masculine and the divine feminine. When I think of the divine feminine, I think of this creative, free-flowing, very nurturing aspect. When I think of the divine masculine, I think of this more powerful, forward-thinking kind of energy, which is still innocent in nature. It's just very instantaneous, if that makes sense. So, yeah, okay, so the brain. How are we going to use this moving on, throughout the rest of our week and our lives? How can we use this to really balance, Esther? How are we going to use this, fam? Okay, good viber. First off, take a breath. I'm thinking alternate nostril breathing. I breathe in through my left, maybe like 3 on that side. And then I move on that inhalation and I exhale on my right. And just breathe again, 2 more on the right. And that's how you get 3 on each side. And then you alternate. Okay, so I would suggest that as a start to balance these parts of the brain or understand a little bit more about how each of the sides feel. Okay? And I think that's really important when we are connecting our mind and balancing the mind, which is the fantastical aspect of our creative, ultimate potential, imagination, and what's happening down here on Earth right now in reality. Knowing how to balance these two give you this opportunity to create a bridge, create new neural connections that are harmonious, and that will allow you to create these fantastical ideas you have in your mind, nurture these aspects of your utmost, deepest being, and also nurture the world. Be present in reality. Be realistic with what you are creating and how it is coming about. Both of these play a role. And so when we breathe, allowing every dualistic nature that we see bring us closer to this balance, okay, to the center. When we are feeling our inhalation, and when we're holding or exhaling and allowing ourselves to be present, we are bringing ourselves back into an equilibrium. And so allowing ourselves to just tap into this. Am I in the past? Am I in the future? Do those things, my past traumas, the baggage I carry, and the future where I want to be, the things I long for, am I here in this moment? Because that's where the balance is. That is the beautiful, straight and narrow, and that's where you will find this infinite potential for you to tap into and master in your own mind. This is it, my friend. This is it. Now, I'm so thankful to take this time to share this download with you, okay? Because it's real, okay? We're talking about how we can balance every single aspect of our being. Your girl Esther Joy, story time, has been struggling with just her own life, balancing her learning more about her career and people and, being more independent in a grounded way. And then the other aspect of just, wow, I'm really just this tiny human in this speck where there's so much happening, and my God, it's incredible just how amazing this world is, the reality that we dwell in. And then tapping into that, we also have, how mundane it can be if we don't just look to see the beauty in the, temporary habits and routines that we've picked up. Nothing really lasts forever. So, tapping into the divine feminine, what I will say on that, tips throughout this week and things that I will be trying to hopefully tap more into the divine feminine. Well, being more playful, actually giving myself rest. I'm bleeding right now. My vagina is bleeding. You heard it here first, folks. And it's actually been a mess. It's been really heavy flow. So let the waters part, as Moses said. Now, what I will say is that me tapping into the divine feminine, I feel led to relax and rest more. I feel led to kind of take it easy, nourish myself, really give myself the space to kind of just be a little bit more creative, not worry so much about how I'm going to provide for myself, or just be, just free bleeding on the earth. Anyways, I'm not actually right now. Anyways. Okay, now divine mass. So the tips I would give to balance more that divine feminine: find time respectfully for yourself. Set those set that, kind of flow into it. When you have a moment, just flow into it. That is the word for the divine feminine, flow. So whenever you think of, making a decision, yes or no, think flow, okay? There you go. That's tapping more into the divine feminine, and you have to, within your own self, if you feel like you are a little bit too much of the divine feminine, which could look like just, it's just, you're a mess. You are like a puddle on the floor with no vase, nothing holding it together. It's just everywhere. And, emotion wise, this can just look like you're super scattered. You don't know why. Then you get more emotionally scattered because you don't know why, and you're investing emotions because you just can't control the flow sometimes. And then you blame other things for the reason the flow. Anyways, that's one thing, okay? I kind of went on a little, just to show you what it looks like. That's what it can look like. Okay, now let's talk about the divine masculine. Okay, I'm going to do my best to share tips on the divine masculine in this energy. Boundaries, okay? More, if the divine feminine is go with the flow, the divine masculine is know when to go, okay? So what this means is setting boundaries with your time, okay? Do you have boundaries with your time? Do you really know, like, what are you doing? Okay, do you have, that kind of accountability? Are you doing the things that you should do? That kind of discipline. So really tapping more into, having discipline, like just counting. A good meditation, I would say, for the divine masculine is actually like kind of counting. It doesn't have to, it can be counting breaths. Okay, just counting your breaths one at a time, having that discipline, or just counting, when you work out, counting is something that I think, yes, both can do, but like associating with that with movement, I think is a good way to kind of balance the divine masculine, or sometimes that overflow of energy, which makes you feel like you have to do something immediately right now, because you have to do something immediately right now. But in reality, you don't, and you're kind of just feeling bad because you're not doing something, and it can really cause you to feel a type of way. I think there's a lot with misplaced action, so really balancing and setting boundaries so when you should do action, when it's okay not to do action. Also, just, I know this sounds, I just feel like it's important, like with the divine masculine, to, yes, still nourish yourself, have this balance, but also I feel like it's very, like a divine masculine, how can I put this? Communication is key, and like in the simplest way possible, communicate to yourself. Maybe set limits on how many words you are in your mind. If you feel like you're kind of overthinking, give yourself a limit how many words you can say to yourself, or the mean voices in your head can say to yourself. I don't know. Just use it as an opportunity to really know how to set solid boundaries to better yourself and feel more balanced, feel more secure, whether it's boundaries with time, whether it's boundaries with resources, how much you're spending on certain substances that aren't, an ideal investment. Also, just, practicing discipline. Another one that is so important, I think, for the divine masculine, and very admirable, that act of discipline, whether it's, waking up or working out, or just doing something daily, having consistency with it, where you feel secure in what you're doing, and you set the boundaries and limits that you feel like will get you to where you want to go. So that's that. I hope that this is helping you with, balancing your mindset, really being aware of how these two play a role and in your brain. And hopefully maybe it would be a good time to journal or reflect. Right now, you could probably just put in the comments, do you feel like you need help you need more balance with your right or left side of the brain. And maybe that's something you can just think on for a little bit. I'm sure you know the answer, which one maybe you feel like you'd like to balance a little bit more, and maybe even what action steps you're thinking of taking. I'd love to hear. But thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope that you learned something and that this helped you, and I will see you in the next video. Namaste. God bless.